For your literature review, you've been asked to seek out appropriate primary sources related to your topic. This will require you to understand what scientific primary sources are and how they differ from secondary sources. This tutorial will explain the difference between primary and secondary sources and will provide examples of those types of sources in scientific literature. You'll also learn how those sources fit into the broader landscape of peer-reviewed literature. As you begin thinking about primary and secondary sources, it will be helpful to understand the flow of information. Scientific research and discoveries are communicated through primary sources. Secondary sources are created from the information found in primary sources. In the sciences, primary sources are materials that present original research or scientific discoveries for the first time. The creators of primary sources are describing research or discoveries that they have done or made. As outputs of research and discovery, primary sources can take several forms. These include original research articles, technical reports, conference proceedings, dissertations and theses, patents, and data sets. Secondary sources in the sciences take primary sources and repackage them in some way. They may be summarizing, analyzing, or critiquing the findings, but the creators of secondary sources are describing research or discoveries that have already been presented through a primary source. Secondary sources can also take several forms, depending on the purposes and audiences for which they're meant. Literature reviews, systematic reviews, and meta-analyses are common types of secondary sources in scientific literature, but opinion pieces, newspaper or magazine articles, textbooks, and encyclopedias are part of this category as well. If you're not sure whether a source is primary or secondary, it may be useful to ask this question. Are the authors presenting new research, or are they discussing existing research in a new way? Think of a journal article that introduces a new method for creating bioplastics. This is a primary source since the articles are presenting their new method for the first time. A newspaper article that reports on the new method is a secondary source. It's discussing research that has already been presented in the journal article. Primary and secondary sources are both published in a variety of places. However, both primary and secondary sources are found in peer-reviewed journals. In peer-reviewed journals, original research articles are primary sources. Literature reviews, systematic reviews, and meta-analyses also undergo the peer review process and appear in these journals, but these are secondary sources. Sometimes it will be easy to tell what kind of article you're reading, but sometimes you'll have to think things through. Remember to ask yourself if the article is meant to present new research for the first time, or if the research has already been presented but is being repackaged in some way. If you need help determining whether a source is primary or secondary, contact a librarian at CU. Here are a few ways to get in touch with us. We're always happy to help.